Hello friends and welcome to YouTube channel Freedom Tech, and in this session what we are going to learn. In this session we are going to create the virtual keyboard with the help of openCV and mediapipe on raspbian buster, okay, the legacy version. But before we move to our practical, friends, if you learn something from our videos, please consider to subscribe our channel. Okay friends, so friends, as I told you, we are going to create a virtual keyboard on raspbian buster with the help of openCV and the mediapipe. Okay, I will explain the code. I have already write the code. Okay, if I write and explain, the video will become more longer. Okay, so I have already typed the code. I will explain the code. Okay, first you need to install the openCV, tensorflow-lit and mediapipe on raspbian buster. I have created the video. I will mention the link. You need to simply watch the video and install openCV latest version, tensorflow-lit and the mediapipe on raspbian buster, Raspberry Pi 4. Okay, then for virtual keyboard we need to clone the repository. So the repository name is virtual keyboard. I will mention the link. You need to simply open the link, then go to the code, copy the link, and we need to open our terminal and we are going to clone the repository. So command is what? Sudo git clone and paste link and just hit enter. It will clone the repository. Now we need to change the owner. So sudo ch own space - capital R, pi is the user and group, and our repository name is virtual keyboard. That's it. We have done with basic setup. We clone our repository. Now we need to simply open the Python script inside our Thony editor. Okay, so menu programming Thony Python IDE, and we need to go inside the file, click on open, then the folder name, which is the virtual keyboard, and we have here a two Python script, the module.py and the key.py. So module.py, we need to open the module.py, and inside that module.py I have created here a function def find position, and this function will give us the list of our hands point. Okay, so as you can see, I have mentioned here return leads. So we don't want to change anything from the module.py. Simple. So I am going to close the module.py. The main file is just a minute, go to the file, click on open. The main file is the key.py, which we are going to run. So key.py. okay, so first thing first, of course we need to import the CV2, then from py_input.keyboard import controller. So py_input is the function, it's connect the virtual keyboard with the physical keyboard. Okay, so for that we need to mention from py_input.keyboard import controller. So first we need to install the py_input. So sudo pip3 install py_input and just hit enter. It will install the py_input inside the raspbian buster Raspberry Pi 4. Okay, so I have already installed the py_input. So then, as I told you, we need to import our module like this way, for py_input.keyboard import controller. Then from module import find position. So module.py, which I have already explained, the module.py is our Python script, and inside that we have here our find position function. So we need to simply import that function from our module Python script. So from module import find position, then import math, then from time import sleep. So this is the modules which we want to import over here. Okay, then as we always do for capturing the video frame with the help of webcam. Okay, so cap is equal to cv2.video capture. Then the keyboard is the variable and keyboard is equal to our main controller. So I have to mention here keyboard is variable and the controller. Then I have mentioned the keys of our keyboards. So keys, as you can see, Q, W, E, R, we need to create the list. Okay, so Q, W, E, R all the way like this way. Okay, then we need to create here, first we need to create here a class. The class name is button. You can mention any name. Okay, so the class name is button. Then inside that class we need to initialize the method. So what we want here, we want here a position, then the text and the size of the text. We want the position where we want to set our text, means our keyboard's keys like this way, Q, W, E. Okay, so we need to mention that all the things over here inside the class: self, position, text, size, and we need to mention the size. Then self.pose means self.position is equal to position, then self.text is equal to text, then self.size we are not going to mention the self.size because we mention here a size. So self.size is just a size. Okay, then we need to create the button list. Okay, so button list is just an empty list. Then for I in range the 3. Why 3? Because we have here a 3 lines of the keyboard keys. As you can see, this one is the first, this one is the second, and this one is the third one. So the range is 3. So for that we need to mention here for I in range 3. Okay, then for J and key in enumerate we need to mention the keys. Okay, as you can see, the keys variable. So keys is basically our all the keyboard keys. So we need to mention that over here, keys, and we need to pass our I. Okay, the for I we need to mention here our I. Okay, then button list dot append. Button list we mention here first empty list. So button list dot append we need to call our class. So button. Let me show you. If I mention this, by default I mention here 70. So let's say if I mention 170, and here also let's say 170. If I save the code, if I run the code, as you can see, the rectangle and the distance between the rectangle is now changed. Okay, so if I stop the code and we can mention the by default value, which is the 7070, and if I save the code, if I run the code, and now as you can see, okay, so this is the values for the rectangle. Okay, so we need to mention all these things over here inside the class, because we mention here the class method is what? The position, the text, and the size. Okay, so we need to mention here the position, and the text is now our keys. Okay, so then after we have now our button list, so we can create here a function. The function name is draw. So inside that we need to pass our image and the button list, which we create here. Okay, we have now button list. Okay, then for button in button list, now inside that button list we have all the information of our buttons. How many buttons we have? We have the rectangles. We have inside that rectangle we have text, means the keys. Okay, so all the information we now inside our button list. Okay, so we can use the for loop. So for button in button list, x and y is button dot position, wh means the width and height is equal to button dot size, and then we are going to simply create the rectangle, and we can put the text inside the rectangle. Okay, so after that now we have all the things inside the button list. Now after that, as you can see here, a is equal to find position. So we import here from module, which is our module.python script, we import here a find position function. The function which basically return us the list of our hands points. Okay, so if I scroll down here, we need to call our function. So a is equal to find position. Okay, a is equal to find position, and inside that we need to pass our frame. Then we will get all the points. Okay, then as you can see, I have to mention the frame. Okay, because inside that drawing function we will get our image return. Okay, so for that we need to call here a frame is equal to draw function, this one, the draw function. Okay, so draw function, and inside that we need to pass our frame and the button list. Okay, we mention it here. As you can see, we need to pass our image and the button list. Okay, so as you can see, we have now here our button list, so we can simply mention the draw function, frame and the button list. Okay. Then we have now our keyboard on our screen. Okay, means the virtual keyboard on our screen, because we mention here frame is equal to draw, frame and button list. Okay. Then we want to use our hands point. Okay. So we can use here point number 8 and point number 12. So inside that A, we have all the points as I mentioned. Okay. So if A is not 0, then we can use here our button list. Okay. So for button in button list, then inside that button list, as I mentioned, inside that button list we have here our all the information of the rectangle, the text and all these things. So if we have the rectangle, it means we have x and y coordinates and width and height. So we can basically call the x and y. So x and y is basically the button dot position, and width and height is basically the button dot size. I hope you all clear. Okay. Then x1 and y1 is our 8 number point. Okay, our hands 8 number point. So let me show you. As you can see, this is what the media pipe, and this is all of the points. Okay. So we need here the 8 number point. So 8 number point is index fingertip and the 12 number point. Okay. So 12 number is basically the middle fingertip. We want the 8 number point and 12 number point. So basically we are going to use the distance between of them for clicking the keyboard keys. Okay. So for that we need here a 8 number point and the 12 number point. Okay. So as I mentioned here, x1 and y1 is basically A. So A is basically our list. Okay. As we mentioned here, A is equal to find position. So A, inside that A we have all the points. So 8-1, and we need here a first index and the second index. So A, 8 number of the point as I already show you, and the second index. Then same for the 12th number point, the first index and the second index. Okay. Now we have here x1 and the y1. Simply with the help of x7 and y1, we will get the distance between these 2 points. So we need to mention the math dot hypot method, and we need to mention the x2 minus x1 and y2 minus y1. Simple friends, the basic fundamentals. Okay. Then we need to mention when the 8 number points means when the index fingertip inside the rectangle. Okay. The 8 number index fingertip. Okay. So if I start the code, so this is what our keyboard. Okay. So if I show the hand, as you can see, it's detected my hand. We want to mention here somehow if the tip of the finger inside the rectangle, then it will change the color. As you can see, now my fingertips inside the rectangle, okay, inside the M, and as you can see, it's changed the color. If I go here, as you can see, L, the change color. So somehow we need to mention if our fingertip inside this rectangle, then color will be changed. Okay. So for that we need to mention here if x in between x1. So x1 is what? X1 is our 8, the fingertip, the first index. So x in between x1 and the x plus width, and same for the y in between y1 and y plus height. Then what will be happen? Then we will have the rectangle, and then we can change the rectangle color. So by default, if you go here, by default the rectangle color is red 255, but when our fingertip inside the rectangle, we can change the rectangle color. So we need to mention the color 122 and the 122. Okay. So dark purple color we can say here. Okay. Then the put text, we don't want to change the color of the text, so we need to simply mention put text method as it is. Okay, then after if the distance between 8 number point and the 12 number point is 30, this distance is depend upon how much far your web camera from your hands position. Okay, so in your case it may be different, you need to check what is the perfect distance. Okay, so I have mentioned the 30. So if the distance 30, then we can basically click the key. Okay, so if the distance 30, then we will have the rectangle, and we can say if there is the click. Okay, so if I start a code, it detected our hand, start with G, it's print G, then H. Okay, then let's go for S, so we print the S, then D, then V, then C. So as you can see, we have successfully typed the keywords from our virtual keyboard. Okay, now what we want to do, we need to print this keyword on our text notepad. Okay, for that I have import here from py_input.keyboard import controller. Okay, and then we need to mention here keyboard is equal to our controller. Okay, as you can see, keyboard is just a variable and we need to mention our controller. Okay, then scroll down. Okay, and where we mention our distance, or we can say the length, if the length is 30, then we have our text. Okay, we have basically we can print the keyword. So for after that we need to mention the final text. So final text plus is equal to our button dot text. Okay, button dot text, and the final text we need to mention first over here. Okay, as you can see, the first we need to mention the final text is equal to empty text. When we start our script, there is no text. Okay, after that when we get a particular distance, or we can say particular length, then we will have the final text. So final text basically what? Final text is our button text. Okay, so plus is equal to button text, and then we need to pass our keyboard. Okay, so which we comment. Okay, so uncomment keyboard dot press, and we need to pass inside that our button dot text, because our button dot text is the key alphabets. Okay, so if I save the code and we need to open the empty notepad. Okay, this is what our empty notepad, and we need to run again our script. So our keyboard layout and our notepad. Okay, so let's try. B on our notepad, as you can see, it's print the B, then M, then U, I, Y. As you can see, it's printed on our notepad also. So this is how you can create your own virtual keyboard with the help of openCV and mediapipe on Raspberry Pi 4. I hope you will learn something from this video. We will meet our next video. Till then, thank you, take care, and bye bye.